The insane execution of Nazi guards during the Dachau Massacre. The concentration camps of the SS left a dark spot in the history of Germans. The atrocities that the Nazis committed were something that would make us feel sick to the stomach. Even today, one of those concentration camps was Dachau Camp. The Dachau Massacre was one of the darkest moments in human history. After the liberation, the Nazi guards at the camp were killed and executed on sight. Let's dig deep into how and why did these executions occur. Dachau was one of Nazi Germany's first and longest-running concentration camps, starting on March 22, 1933. Initially, the camp was designed to house Hitler's political opponents, who included communists, Social Democrats, and other dissidents. It is situated on the grounds of an abandoned munitions factory, northeast of the historic town of Dachau, some 16 kilometers northwest of Munich, in the German state of Bavaria. Following the Bavarian takeover of March 9, 1933, Heinrich Himmler, the chief of police in Munich, initiated discussions with the administration of an underutilized gunpowder and munitions plant. He went on a tour of the facility to determine if it might be utilized to house protective custody inmates. The Dachau concentration camp started on March 22, 1933, with the entrance of around 200 convicts of Munich's Stadelheim prison and the Landsberg stronghold. Himmler claimed in the Münchner Neuesten Nachrichten newspaper that the camp could house up to 5,000 inmates, and that it would be the first concentration camp for political prisoners to be used to re-establish order in Germany. With the 1935 enactment of the Nuremberg Laws, which formalized racial discrimination, Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuals, and immigrants were transported to Dachau. In early 1937, the SS began building a massive facility capable of housing 6,000 inmates using prison labor. The building was formally finished in mid-August 1938, with the annexation of Austria and the Sudetenland in 1938. More political opponents, as well as approximately 11,000 German and Austrian Jews, were transferred to the camp. The first allegations of prisoner killings at Dachau emerged shortly after the SS was commissioned to reinforce the Bavarian police managing the camp. In 1933, Josef Hartinger, a Bavarian justice minister official, and part-time medical examiner Moritz Flamm came to the camp to investigate the fatalities in line with the Bavarian criminal law. They found several discrepancies between the injuries on the bodies and the camp guards' descriptions of the deaths. Hartinger and Flamm unearthed convincing evidence of murder. They produced a dossier of allegations against Himmler Weckerl, the SS commander of Dachau, Werner Nürnberg, the camp doctor, and Josef Mutzbauer, the camp's top administrator, over a period of months. On April 29, 1945, soldiers from the 3rd Battalion, 157th Infantry Regiment, 45th Infantry Division, led by Colonel Felix L. Sparks, arrived at the sprawling Dachau complex from the southwest and discovered 39 railway boxcars containing approximately 2,000 skeletal corpses parked on rail tracks just outside the complex. One person found close with a smashed skull had brain tissue sprayed on the ground. The stench of decaying remains, human waste, and the sight of naked, emaciated individuals caused the approaching troops to vomit, scream in bewilderment and wrath. Soldiers from the 22nd Regiment's H Company used a megaphone to call on the SS to surrender, but they continued to shoot in spurts. Further dead were discovered when the soldiers moved deeper inside the facility and the prisoner area itself. Several had perished hours or days before the camp's surrender and were buried where they died. Troops reported witnessing a series of concrete structures with hundreds of nude and barely dressed dead bodies heaped floor to ceiling, a coal-fired crematorium, and a gas chamber. The odor of death was intense, recalled Sparks. According to Harold Marcuse, an American professor of German history, camp leader SS Hauptsturmführer Martin Weiss and the camp guards and the SS garrison evacuated the camp before the U.S. soldiers arrived. SS Untersturmführer Heinrich Weicker, murdered after the capitulation, was left in command with around 560 men at his disposal, drawn from the SS disciplinary jail inside the Dachau concentration camp and Hungarian Waffen-SS forces. Untersturmführer Weicker handed over Dachau to Brigadier General Henning Linden of the U.S. Army's 42nd Infantry Division on April 29. Linden arrived at Dachau Command Post at 1500 hours and proceeded to cross the Amper River to the complex site roughly a half a kilometer south of the bridge he crossed. Amid the chaos, he took charge of the camp and toured it with reporters. The capitulation is described in Lyndon's paper, Report on Surrender of Dachau Concentration Camp. 3 people stepped forward with a truce flag as we neared the southwest corner. We encountered them around 75 yards north of the southwest corner. These 3 guys were Victor Maurer, a Swiss Red Cross official, the 2 SS troops who claimed to be the camp commander, and his aide. They had arrived the night of the 28th to take over from the normal camp employees in order to surrender the camp to the approaching Americans. Apart from the prisoners in the tower, the Swiss Red Cross delegate reported that there were roughly 100 SS guards in the camp with their guns piled. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander, delivered the following statement after the seizure of Dachau concentration camp. Our soldiers liberated and cleaned up the infamous Dachau concentration camps. 32,000 detainees were rescued, and 300 SS camp guards were immediately eliminated. Earl Ziemke, a military historian, summarizes the event as, on April 29th, a Sunday, the Americans arrived. By Wednesday, work had ceased in the camp, and an evacuation was planned. While one convoy of 4,000 prisoners was able to escape, the 42nd and 45th Infantry Divisions cleared the 40-mile distance from the river faster than the Germans planned. The camp was peaceful around midday on Sunday, and the SS guards were stationed in the towers. When the yell, "Americans!" rang out, a guard shot a prisoner who ran to the gate. Outside, a lone American soldier stood nonchalantly staring at the towers, while guards kept watch on him 200 or 300 yards away. The incident was described in detail by Lieutenant Colonel Sparks, battalion commander of the 157th Infantry Regiment, 45th Infantry Division. Sparks watched as roughly 50 German prisoners, seized by the 157th Infantry Regiment, were imprisoned in a coal storage facility. The location was partially surrounded by an L-shaped stone wall about 8 feet, 2.4 meters high, and was located near to a hospital. A machine gun crew from Company I kept an eye on the German captives. He left those guys behind and proceeded to the heart of the camp, where there were still SS who had not surrendered. He had only gone a short distance when he heard a soldier cry, "They're trying to get away!" and then machine gun fire coming from the area he had just left. He returned and booted a 19-year-old soldier known as Bird Eye, who operated the machine gun, killed roughly 12 of the captives and injured several more. The gunner, weeping uncontrollably, stated that the prisoners had attempted to flee. Sparks expressed his doubts about the narrative. Sparks put an NCO on the pistol before beginning his trek toward the camp's center. Following the camp's liberation, prisoners swarmed over the wire and grabbed the Americans and lifted them to their soldiers. Other prisoners caught the SS men. The first SS man elbowed 1 or 2 prisoners out of his way, but the courage of the prisoners mounted. They knocked them down, and no one could see whether they were stomped or what, but they were killed. Valentin Lenzik, a prisoner at Dachau, SS troops, capos, and informers were severely assaulted elsewhere in the camp using fists, rods, and shovels. At least one incident occurred when 2 convicts beat a German guard to death with a shovel, and Lieutenant Bill Walsh observed one such beating. Another soldier saw a convict trample on an SS trooper's face till not much was left. He merely nodded at the soldier. "You've got a lot of hatred in your heart." 3 young Jewish guys who escaped the camp after liberation informed an American chaplain that they had beaten one of the more vicious SS guards to death when they located him hiding in a barn dressed as a peasant. One witness testified about the deaths. The 7th Army's Assistant Inspector General, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Whitaker, was instructed to investigate. Whitaker stated that Lieutenant William P. Walsh, commander of Company I, 157th Infantry, shot 4 German troops in a boxcar that had surrendered to him near the camp's back door. Private Albert C. Pruitt stepped inside the boxcar and gave the injured soldiers the coup de grace. Following the investigation, the U.S. military considered instituting court-martials against those involved, including Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Felix Sparks, while Lieutenant Howard Buchner was cited in the report for dereliction of duty for failing to provide medical aid to the injured SS men in the coal yard. Nevertheless, the accusations were dropped by General George S. Patton, Bavaria's newly appointed military administrator. As a result, the witnesses to the murder were never cross-examined in court. Thank you for stopping by to watch. Please subscribe to the channel and post your video recommendations in the comments area if you want us to do more films like this.